Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
Threats to democracy. In my opinion, not really. At least not that I know of.
You don't think that you think our democracy is great, right?
I mean, it's good, I suppose. A perfect democracy is not cannot really be achieved. It's a utopia, if I may. But this current level of democracy we have right now in Latvia, in my opinion, is it's good. It's okay.
Then what could we improve on?
What could we improve on? Well, we could give more of the power to society, since the only power society has like right now is in elections that they elect the parliament or the local municipality. Or other than that, they do not really have that much power in their hands. So if we would give a little bit more power to the society, that would definitely increase democracy in Latvia.
Well, but what are the biggest threats?
Biggest threats
if there are any?
in democracy. I would say a corrupt government would be quite a huge threat to democracy. But other than that, nothing really comes into my mind.
And why do you think that corrupt government is the biggest threat?
Well, a corrupt government really is, how should I put this? For the most part, they do whatever they want, and they do not really account to no one. So they could say, so they do not have to listen to what the society has to say. They can fully ignore what the society thinks, and then they could simply do what is good for them.
And are there any outside threats?
Outside threats? Well, countries that want to invade other countries is a huge threat, outer threat to democracy. Yeah, I think that is the main threat.
And how about immigration?
Immigration isn't really a threat to democracy, in my opinion.
Why do you think?
Why do I think? Well, it does not really change anything in that aspect that it should be considered a threat to democracy, because people come into your country, okay, they work, sometimes they pay taxes, but for the most part they do not really bring a threat to democracy in no level at all, in my opinion at least.
Okay. Well, are there any inside threats besides the corrupt government?
I believe not, at least in my opinion. I'm not really that well educated on this topic, so it's hard to say for me. But yeah, I believe that there are no real threats to democracy other than government.
Okay. And what could be done to prevent these threats?
We should regulate corruption in government a lot more. Control corruption. We should actually choose a little bit wiser who is in the parliament and the government and who is not, and so on. It really all comes down to actually controlling the government more.
And how could we do that?
How could we do that? That's a good question. How could we control the government more? The process of election could be a little bit more complicated. A little bit more introduction should be required from the politicians that are being elected into government. Their goals, what they actually want to achieve should be highlighted, and so on.
And the last question: what we could do to prevent some threats?
Well, since in my opinion the main threat is about the government, and since in Latvia you need to be at least 18 to vote, then in my opinion there is no real things that we could do at this current moment to help to prevent these threats.
Okay, thank you. Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
Well, I don't think there is, because as of right now, Latvia is 42nd in democracy index, which I think is extremely good for us.
So you don't think that we could improve?
Well, we can always improve, but we can always like ruin it and like fall from our place in democracy index. So I don't really think we should change it. Maybe not right now.
But if we could improve, what do you think we should improve on?
Well, I don't really know that we could improve anything right now. Like people can vote. People can vote until they're 18, so which means everyone that is under 18 can do anything. So, and yeah, I don't really know.
You think younger people should be able to vote?
Well, maybe, because maybe they would have something more to say about it, and they can make a change.
But as you said, don't you think that it could cause some problems with, them not being grown up enough to make these kinds of serious decisions?
Well, we could never know because it hasn't happened, so we can't predict the future. If it would happen, we wouldn't know the consequences.
How about threats from outside? Do we have them?
Well, I think that maybe immigration could be a little bit threat because other people that's not Latvian citizens obviously could come in, travel in Latvia. They wouldn't be used to our system maybe, and they could raise some problems like protests and something maybe, and that would maybe split the citizens.
You think there'd be cultural differences that would
Well,
cause
it's
problems?
possible.
Okay. And how about some inside threats? Do we have something that causes problems to democracy inside of Latvia?
I think that maybe corruption could be a problem because people obviously don't like when something is happening without them knowing it, and when maybe if they're voting or electing something and inside the parliament it's happening a lot more differently than we expected, and people can not really like that, so that could cause some problems also.
Okay. But what could we do to prevent these threats or these problems with our democracy?
I don't really think there's something we could do because we can't like forbid people to leave the country or forbid people to move to this country. We can't really control it, so.
You don't think that we can control what's happening with our country?
Well, we can control the people's choices, and if a person chooses to leave this country, they can, and if people choose to like move to this country, we cannot forbid them to.
Okay. Well, but what could we do in like our lives, or what we could do as teenagers to do something good for democracy?
Like I said, teenagers aren't allowed to like participate in elections, but they could they could still talk. They have still a chance to speak their minds, like on social network or through their friends and family, and they can like say what they think to someone who can participate in elections, and maybe that could do something good or change a little bit.
So you agree that participating in elections isn't the only way to affect democracy?
Yeah, probably.
And what would be some other things that we could do, like you mentioned?
Well, I don't really know. So, like I said, we could speak our minds, but we can't really control the government or other people in society. So, if democracy is happening, then it will happen, and if people are splitting, we can't really do anything about it.
Okay, thank you. Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
I think yes, because democracy in our country is still we elect our Saima.
Okay. But what are these threats?
In my opinion, it is our Saima, for example, oligarchy and corruption.
Okay. Are these the biggest threats in your opinion?
In my opinion, yes.
What are some threats from outside?
I think it is also corruption from other countries, and it is, how I'd say, not the best. I think it's aggressive other countries.
Okay.
It is the best. No, yes.
It's bad.
Yeah, bad, yes.
Okay. And could you talk a little bit more about the threats from inside of Latvia?
In our Latvia it is corruption and bad work from Saima. I think, in my opinion, Saima at this moment not work really good.
Okay. And how could we change that?
Maybe I think change the elected system or something like that. It is a very difficult question.
Well then, what could we as teenagers could do to prevent some threats?
I think nothing, because it's very hard to change something in country by teenagers. No. Yes.
But should we try to change something, or should we just wait till we're 18?
We should, but I think it is not very easy to change something in our country and everything else.
But what should we do to be able to change something?
Cristiana. I don't know exactly what.
Okay. Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
I think yes, because in my opinion the government is already corrupt in Latvia, so I think that's a big threat to us citizens.
Is that the biggest threat in your opinion?
To what?
To democracy in Latvia?
I think yeah.
Okay. Are there some outside threats
Like other countries and stuff.
that come from outside of our country?
I think it's not a big threat, but yes, that's a threat.
What are those threats?
Oh, immigrants, people coming from other countries to live here, making riots, saying that they want some kind of freedom, but they don't belong here. So
Is it a big problem in Latvia though?
no,
Oh, you think it's a big problem in like Europe?
yes,
Okay. And then you think that the biggest threats come from inside of our country?
yeah, could you repeat it?
You think that the biggest threats come from inside of our country?
Yeah,
And what are those threats?
all the same corruption, because if the government's corrupt, then the country won't be so developed.
Okay. What do you think we could change as citizens of Latvia about this issue?
Well, a while ago, Latvia started a new thing called Jauniešu Saime. I think that's a good start of changing something, because you don't need a lot of people to change something. You just need to be determined to change it.
Okay. So you think that the youth of Latvia can do something about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's participating in this Jauniešu Saima. What else could we do?
We could always express our opinion also, be determined, helpful, speak with our parents, maybe something like that.
Do you think we should even change something?
Yeah, I think we should,
Why?
because I don't think that we're that great of a country, but we have the potential to be a better one, or at least. So that's a good thing. That's a good point.
Okay. Thank you. Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
Well, I wouldn't say that there are any new threats, but the main problem is our corrupted government right now.
That's the biggest threat in your opinion?
Yes.
Do you think there are any threats that come from outside of our country?
Well, there could be some political connections between our government and our parliament between other countries, but I'm not quite sure.
Well, corruption, do you think we could do anything about it?
I think yeah, and one of the biggest threats to our democracy actually is ourselves, because we're not doing anything to make our lives better, because we have actually a chance and opportunity to do it, because there is this internet site where you can vote. It's called manabals.lv, where you can actually show your initiative and sign these petitions about several topics that is connected to your life in Latvia, and you can change laws, and you can solve problems in Latvia. Just if the project reaches, if I'm right, 10,000 exceptions from citizens of Latvia, it gets further, and this project is seen by our parliament.
Why do you think people in Latvia don't change anything about this issue?
Because probably firstly they are scared, and it is not the easy job to actually change things in a country on itself, because you need to be very self-conscious about it, and it is easier to do nothing actually than to start doing something.
And
I
why
think that's
would,
the main problem.
okay, why would people be scared to do it?
Well, as the corruption is in Latvia, there are some pretty powerful people in our parliament too, and there could be some kind of
Bad things.
yeah, some bad things can happen to people if they mess with very powerful and influential people.
Okay, but what could we do to prevent these problems to happening?
Can you repeat, please?
What could we do to change this situation we're in?
Well, we just have to come together as a nation, I think, and fight for our country, because one person cannot do very much. As a perfect example is our parliament deputy Artur Skyminch, who is doing, in my opinion, great things, and but he is only one person, and he cannot change too much because he's the minority of our parliament.
And what
So
we could do to...
well, we need to come together. Maybe there is an option that you can make a new political party, several new political parties, and you just need to do something. What do you think is better for your country and your people?
Okay. What could teenagers, what we could do to improve on
Yes, we have
democracy?
this thing as a young parliament, youth parliament, where young teenagers can then join and to start projects that they are interested in, so they can contribute to our political situation and our main politics. So yeah, I think it's a great way to give something to your country and to change things as you are young.
In your opinion, why should we try to change something then?
Well, if there are these threats to democracy and there is this corrupted government, we should, well, if you like it, then okay, live like that, but I assume that people is going after something better, and I think that the last option is to leave this country, because there are things you can change and you just need to fight for them.
Okay. Are there threats to democracy right now in Latvia?
Right now, I think yes, we have, but we have good threats.
What are those threats?
These good threats is from going from Artur Skyminch, which is our deputy, and he's like making big party about who is the owner of this country, and there is 400 about people who will be changing this democracy or this situation what is now, and I think it's a bad situation in Latvia.
Okay. So, what do you think are the biggest threats?
The biggest it is we have, then this what I mean, it's what I mentioned.
Do you think there are any threats that come outside of our country?
Outside, it's I think only from European Union. Because what European Union will say that Latvia will accept and do this.
Okay. Are there any other inside threats besides the one you mentioned?
Only if there will be a war or something like that, bad things or good things. Only it's life.
Are good things threat to democracy?
Good things. It's from people what we can from nation Latvian. It's we will be making our big party and politician party, not this party. And only from that way we have threats.
From creating a big party in our parliament. Did I understand correctly? Can you say me what we could do to prevent those bad things to our democracy?
We can make I think the only way is thinking about what we can change, what we can change something new, something good for us, and it's like to youngest people, because we have many young people who has good ideas, good opinions about this democracy, the situation in Latvia.
How could their opinions be heard? The opinions from young people. How could Parliament hear those opinions, or what we should do to?
Like in young people, I think that we can do something with schools, because we have so much schools, and it's the way like we can make like maybe like there is a lot of young people who don't know what's happening in parliament, in democracy, and in democracy, and in all this big not hope, but
And
yeah.
How could we change
And
the fact
we
that
can like make like new lesson, new new learning lesson like about the we can like young people can like know what is happening, reading news. Understand? News.
what we could do to make these young people read about politics or get them interested in?
I think I were in a lot of schools, and a lot of schools has a TVs, and in TVs we can show these news, because all the time in the pause,
Break?
yes, in break, in breaks we can like show this news, and just the young teenagers and the school and pupils will just look at this, and when time is going through that,
So
they will understand.
So
what's
if
going on.
we talk more about politics, do you think young people will be interested in that?
If we will like make more events, politicians events, where all young people just they will be like they will have a choose. No, they will have like chance to said his their own problems and ideas to make this bad things to good things, then yes.
So you think the biggest problem right now is that our opinions aren't heard?
Yes, and the non-knowing what's happening in this.
Okay.